between the first term. In the first term, everybody was fighting me. In this term, everybody wants to be my friend.
It's going to be one of the bites we're going to hear quite a bit. Apparently, everyone wants to be Donald Trump's friend in his second term, but they're bringing their checks to prove it now. A flurry of Fortune 500 companies, crypto firms, and individual billionaires all racing to help underwrite Trump's inauguration on January 20th, pledging seven-figure donations. In return, they'll get an intimate candlelit dinner with the president-elect and First Lady Melania. Now, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Trump's inaugural fund is on track to break records. And also, they identified at least 11 companies and trade associations who are backing the inauguration despite once saying they would not donate to him after the January 6th attack on the Capitol. The president-elect finding himself in clearly a very different position than he did just 4 years ago.
Some of America's biggest companies say they do not want their political donations in the war chest of lawmakers who wouldn't accept the free and fair election. American Express, AT&T, UPS, they're joining Marriott, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Commerce Bank in suspending political donations.
Add JP Morgan and Facebook to the growing list of companies that are pulling their political donations following last week's Capitol riots.
Hallmark called out two by name and asked for the return of previous donations.
Never seen Hallmark pissed off before.
My panel is back, and we're joined by Max Rose, former Democratic congressman from New York and senior advisor at Vote Vets. Thank you all for joining us to talk about this inaugural donation frenzy that we're seeing right now. Max, I'll start with you. When the Wall Street Journal asked the companies why they're donating now, despite some of them swearing it off after January 6th, one company representative responded with this: people just really want to move forward and move on. The election results were very clear. Former Congressman, what's your reaction to that?
Look, God bless them. They're full of it, right? I mean, 2 years ago, you care about one thing, and now you obviously don't. It's clear that what they are in it for is their shareholder interest, and maybe that had always been the case, but certainly that should be a message to Democrats, right? That none of these groups, corporate or otherwise, are in your camp permanently. Rather, the people that should be in your camp permanently and you in their camp are working people. Now, what is shocking, though, about all this is that Donald Trump, during his campaign, ran, in many ways, a quintessentially populist campaign. He did not talk about being there for corporate interests. He did not talk about taking million-dollar checks. And he certainly didn't talk about this kind of escalator of the billionaire class being appointed by him and sitting at his knee at Mar-a-Lago. But that is how he is governing, and that as well is the lane for Democrats to win elections in the future. This is what they should be talking about nonstop.
Leah, what struck me interesting from this reporting is that it's not only different from 4 years ago, but also from President-elect Trump's first inauguration as well, right?
Absolutely. So I think part of what we saw during the first inauguration is that there was a real reluctance to associate with Donald Trump. There was really no interest from many corporate backers in taking him seriously. He was an unknown quantity for a large group of people, but also for many business people, it was abhorrent to be associated with his campaign. I do think, and I would agree with Max on this here, I think one of the things, the lessons that a lot of these corporations have learned over the last 4 years is that it is about money, that there are no permanent friends, that there are no permanent affiliations or alliances. And so when it became clear to them that Donald Trump was going to suffer very few, if any, repercussions for the behavior on January 6th, as well as other legal problems and allegations, it became very clear that this was going to be an opportunity for them to ply their case and make their trade with Donald Trump. We all know that he is transactional, and so what we're seeing is an increase in that kind of transactional action. So we're seeing corporate giants like Amazon, like Facebook, Meta, all these organizations, and they want something in return. I would point, for example, to cryptocurrency. Several cryptocurrency organizations and institutions have donated millions to Donald Trump because they want deregulation of the industry in a way that benefits them, and this is how they get it. So this is, I think, a dawning of a new day, but it's one that is very much about corporate interests and corporate payouts.
But just quickly, Isaac, I just want your quick take on this. I mean, it's not like Democrats also don't receive inaugural contributions when they take the White House. But can you give us some context? Joe Biden, for example?
I mean, we have a lot of money in politics, and people tend to write big checks when they want something in return for it. I think what we see here, and not just as a reflection of the change from the way things were, but going forward, there is this expectation that Trump, as was just being said, will be a transactional president. He was a transactional president, and will be picking favorites, and will be picking companies that he benefits, maybe in terms of regulations and other things like that, but also those that maybe are exempt from tariffs or don't get hit with the same kind of deportation raids on their workers. That is the sense that that exists in the business world when it comes to Donald Trump. And there is a reason why people are writing these checks now. They are assuming that Trump is paying attention to them now and will be going forward over the next 4 years.
Panel, stick with us. We still have more to talk about. Thank you for those responses.